Air
like a
fryer.
like a Darth Vader toaster. Like a Darth
All
Vader
right.
toaster.
What a way to get it started, y'all. Welcome back to the second test run of a podcast that has no name at the moment.
The
But
podcast with no name was kind of crazy, by the way.
I thought that the other day. I was like, yeah, what if it just stayed with no name?
I
Okay,
mean,
but I said it louder, so.
I mean, Mega, you brought up Tech Pause. I think that's a good one. Honestly, the idea I had for the love of prod came off how much we just said for the love of the game last week. But there's probably a couple other ones here. But everyone, welcome back, or thank you for tuning back in. Again, I'm Dextron. Person to my left is Hunter. Person below me is Megalast, and person to the bottom right is Spectrion, our first official guest for this. Thank you for actually doing this. Yeah, as you did see, Spec, you were the second person we had selected. Hey, but
It's what happens, you know?
Yeah.
It's just life.
yeah, but I mean, fuck, I lost my train of thought already. Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing. I was talking about, okay, we're going to go like this, introductions. I forgot what the hell we were talking about after that because we started
Man, you gotta
talking.
take notes. Episode 3, the change. Dex is taking notes.
Oh, I have notes so I can actually properly do the YouTube thing this time around. But, like, we started talking... You're just fucking drinking, man. Okay. But... like we started talking about the fact that I forgot that I was gonna make a cup of tea before this, and that just put Spectrion into essentially a trance.
Listen, it was a righteous fury, okay? Everybody from at least the UK knows that you've got to have a fucking teapot, but nobody's got a fucking teapot. It's as simple as that. It's boiling water in a Keurig. A Keurig!
Am I fucking British?
Don't get me started.
Am
We
I
should start
British?
talking about-
Spec, you've seen my last name. That's nowhere close to being British.
If you just like change a couple syllables around, we get there eventually.
Yeah,
right?
let me get rid of the second J, 2 E's, and the Z.
Yeah, exactly. No, we should talk about something serious or something. I don't know how this podcast works.
Okay, so let's get into it. So again, thank you to everyone who did watch last week with the first test run of this. I will say this. The hour and a half that we went with it, probably not going to happen again. I think we're going to try to always keep it to an hour, if not a little over. If we go under, that's perfectly fine. Thank you for the feedback we got. Spec, you were one of the people that reached out and gave us feedback on this, so at least gave me feedback on it. So thank you a lot for that. But guys, we all did stuff in the past week with casting, which was something that last week when we did this, we hadn't really done with. All of us did the goats thing. Spec and Hunter and I just found out Spec did the extinction thing. So, I mean, guys, how was all that stuff?
You know what? Everything with what it was surprisingly, I won't say surprisingly a good tournament, but there was surprisingly a lot of really close and competitive games. Normally, you watch like the first like couple rounds of a big tournament like this, there's a lot of 2-0s, but no, a lot of these games were really close. If anybody watched the very first game, we literally instantly went to 3 maps. Every single one of them came down to a final fight. It just ended up being a really good tournament, and then there was the map 7 at the very end for the grand finals. I mean, going into this, I was like, this is gonna be a good tournament. Turned out to be an amazing tournament. So, I mean, I don't know. I just had a metric ton of fun with it. Got to work with a bunch of people as well. I mean, that's all I can ever ask for going into an event like this.
Yeah, the extinction thing was pretty cool. Obviously, I wasn't there for long. I kind of just got messaged 10 minutes before we have a live time, and they're like, we need a color caster. You know, I got to do a winners finals, I think, with Bullskunk. That was a good time. But I wasn't really expecting it. The match I had was pretty good. I will say, I don't think I kind of shit the bed a little bit, realistically. It's my first time doing HasComp, and it was my first time doing NA in a while. And trust me, the difference in play between NA and EU is always like such a big jump to me. Feels like people... It's very different, basically. I think people like to play a bit more structured, I think, in Europe. So that caught me off guard as well. And as well, the jump from going from GOATs, obviously, to Has was as large as well. And GOATs as well was obviously awesome. It's great because it gets all the old Europe dogs out to play again. Horrocks is activated like a fucking sleeper agent just to go run it down on Lucio. You know, he doesn't even comm, by the way. He basically no comms and just flies across the map like a crazy person until they start losing and he just starts screaming his head off.
Yeah,
it's great.
We definitely saw it.
Yeah. Fun fact, actually. Spectrum, you got the last minute, like 10-minute before ping for Extinction because they originally came to me. and this is tea behind the scene, not real tea, but
Yeah.
quote unquote fake drama. When Echo and I messaged about this later, they had messaged me first, but they were like, "Can you not be a VTuber for this?" And I was just like technically yes, but I'd rather not. And so they were like, "Then we just can't have you. Sorry." And so that's why they moved on to you.
Bit peak.
That's weird.
I mean, they like. Here's the thing. I've realized that is a thing that's going to happen in casting more often than not. Fun fact. I mean, me and Ray had this conversation before SNO that for season 12, or season 12. What the fuck? Season 14. But beyond that, I mean, Goats was fun. Kind of got a sleeper grand final here in NA. That kind of sucked, but otherwise, it was just another tournament, another one on the docket.
Yeah, the NA final. I mean, like the last day, not to be a little bit of a bummer, was just kind of a letdown considering how exciting it Saturday was for it. Just a lot of interesting series, and then we get to the last day. It's like, okay, here's a sweep, and hey, guess what? A sweep.
Oh, we had a reverse sweep in EU. I was sick.
Yeah, like it was fun. like you said, it's fun to kind of watch EU when that happens because it brings out all those old heads that just absolutely love Goats to death. And like also at the same time, the chat during EU was much more entertaining to be a part of and to watch because there's so many. I'm gonna say like friends and inside jokes.
EU is a lot more of like a web of connections. It feels like where everybody has their own like inside jokes and shit like that. Like for example, there's like been a running joke for ages that like Horrocks is just better Yuki. So whenever they play, Horrocks just chats all the shit to Yuki. Yuki, know what that is. Sorry. When Yuki's playing, then he was actually really ill. He was like apparently throwing up in between maps when he was playing, which is partially why Dreamlight got reverse swept. That's there. There's the fact that like Booga is obviously known for being really toxic. We saw that come in the chat as well because he was just in chat just like typing whatever. He's like, I'm so PMA, guys. That made it onto a tweet, I think. Just all that just makes it, I don't know, cinema.
I don't know. It was great. That's the really unfortunate thing about. I was gonna say the unfortunate thing about NA. Of course, there's a lot of unfortunate things about NA. But with the Goats tournament, I mean, the favorite going into that was it was Neptune's nursing home. But unfortunately, they got knocked out in the lower finals, and after that point, I don't think there was a question in the world that Fourth Impact was going to win that. They literally had the flawless run. And when I mean flawless, I mean between the Swiss bracket, the championship bracket, and the championship did not drop a single map whatsoever. That's like 30 plus maps that they wanted. That is godly. Like I had to triple check myself before I like decided to gaslight the entirety of CGL about that.
Like that was insane when like coming into the final day, because that was the only day I was casting, I was like, holy shit. You don't see that very often. I think we saw it once this past season in CGL where it's like, oh my god, this team's actually just running the table, but they decided to forfeit a match, so we couldn't say that they're actually like perfect. It's very difficult to do it, but Fourth Impact was like, even when they made desperation swaps to Moira, it just worked for them when it didn't work for anyone else, which was just so weird.
Yeah, it did. I mean, to be fair, the entirety of the tournament was still entertaining. We just it's kind of the nature of Overwatch and sometimes esports in general, where the final ends up kind of already being one of those things where it's not as close as you would hope, because
I think it's just Overwatch, to be honest.
I mean,
I feel like
esports to an extent.
I feel like maybe I'm just like too CS pilled, or maybe or it's like confirmation bias. All the good events you remember and all the bad finals you forget. But I feel like CS, the finals normally pretty good. I feel like it's just like depends on how the scene evolves. Though I think CS has been studied for so long that it kind of ends up that they're kind of not reaching the skill ceiling, but they're getting there, you know. And Overwatch, every time there's a new meta, there's a race to try and solve it, and there's always just somebody who's solved it better than everybody else, you know, and kind of just steamroll. So I think that's kind of what happens. I think if we want a close Overwatch final, we've got to have the best meta ever, or just something that we stuck on for a million years.
Yeah, I feel like it also like it comes back to that region thing. Like I think this Goats tournament was a perfect example because like EU, it truly felt like it was like a community, like everybody was having fun, and then NA was just 9 to 5. Like this is how you play Goats. Fourth Impact, they showed up, they crossed their T's, they dotted their I's, they signed the paper, and like sure, you know, they showed up, they got a trophy, they won, but like, gosh, it's one of those things where when a meta is solved, it really gets boring. Like from every single standpoint. Like if it truly is solved and you realize there's one team that's going to be the best, then it's just like, well, what's the point of watching anything else? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was definitely something I saw come up a couple times in chat. Like, there are a couple people that said, "Yeah, I could understand why people would leave this game if this was the meta for a year." Like, and it's why it's only a weekend tournament for CGL or a 2-weekend tournament where it's just, hey, let's just go back to this moment that's very like controversial, but a lot of people like it. It's only going to be for 4 days and that's it. But like, it's fun to see that, and like I fell out in love with Overwatch originally when GOATS was going on. Didn't really follow Overwatch League that much when it was going on either. So when I got the cast for the first time last year, I was like, holy shit, I understand it now.
Yeah, I think for me, I also stopped watching Overwatch about during GOATS, maybe slightly after. I was on a CS kick for a while, and then when back casting it, then I just had to learn the whole meta from scratch. Especially as like someone who likes to work in analysis if I can when I color. Then I just watched like 12 hours of Spylo VODs, and then sat down and talked to a couple like players and coaches about how it works. And even now, I don't know how it works. I just see colors on my screen and go, what the fuck?
Nah, you had to be there playing it back in the day. I was actually
Yeah.
playing through most of GOATs and playing through tournaments and the
Bro, look
like.
at this
and
old head.
Look for
Okay, shut up,
I'm
young
all-
whippersnapper.
we're all well into our 20s at this point. All right. But I'm just saying, back then you had to be. I wouldn't say you had to be built different, but you definitely didn't have to have like the typical mindset, because I mean DPS players had to either play Zarya or get fucked. There was not much of an option in retrospect. But for a tank player, someone who one trick diva to Kingdom Come, like, hey, look, here's a meta. Hey, we need a diva player. You need anything else? Nope. All right, great. I can keep playing this game at the
Fair enough.
competitive level. Great. But I understand how that does get boring. I couldn't imagine doing that for like an infinite amount of time. Like I would have given up a long time ago.
All right, but I mean, hey, a lot of stuff happened this past week. I mean, like I said, you guys did the Extinction thing. That was a really cool event to watch. Like you said, a lot of great games. GOATS is always a fun time. There's going to be more stuff coming up here later, but let's now just kind of pivot over to kind of the main thing with this podcast, and especially now with Spectrion being here. Last week we did talk about it. Us three talked about what got us into esports and what got us into casting and prod and what kind of keeps us around. So Spec, tell us kind of your story, because again, I look at you as someone who, I mean, like you said, you're CS pilled there a little bit. You're incredibly knowledgeable at Overwatch and like know more stuff than probably I ever will try to know about it. But what got you into it?
I was gonna say you could always try. It's not like I'm like mega mind, I'm just some guy. But no, I don't know. I guess I've always liked games in general, not just video games, but anything where you can compete against somebody else. Whether it's like football or badminton. I always would have like arguments with my family because about how much I hated like running races and swimming races, because you didn't have to. I was like convinced you weren't actually competing against anybody else, because you don't have to adapt what you do. I love the adaptation and the theory, but I would just like play like games casually. And I think my dad showed me the Dragons trailer from Overwatch when I was like 12 or 11 or something like that.
Oh.
And was like, do you know this game? And I was like, no, I don't. One shot to
Yeah, because you're saying you're 12, dude. I was 17 or 18.
I watched that as an adult.
Oh no.
Mega, where were you when you first watched that?
I'm taking shots.
Oh God, I knew I needed to make a drink before this.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't. Here's the crazy thing: is I was an Overwatch hater on launch. I was like, my entire friend group at the time was like, guys, Overwatch is, Overwatch, and I, despite knowing nothing about the game, I was like, nope, absolutely not. You're all plebs. You're playing shit. Just absolutely hating from outside the club without knowing what's happening in the club at all. And then I remember exactly what got me to play Overwatch for the first time was PAX East 2017. They had like a PC set up there. My friend was like, listen, just come fucking play on my friend's account, see what it is. My first ever game, Temple of Anubis, I locked Reaper. I got like 2 kills with a Death Blossom, and that was it. And I was like, I understand it now. I see the vision.
You saw it. You saw the
I
truth,
saw the vision.
light.
It was actually the cinema right before my eyes.
The dopamine kicked in.
Yeah, but so that happened, but I didn't actually stop playing it for a while. I didn't even have a PC. But in the end, I think I started playing in like 2017. So that means I was probably, yeah, I'd be like 13 or 14 then. Because my friends were basically peer pressured into getting the video game. I was playing on my like little 200-pound laptop. Didn't even have a mouse. I was just on my little trackpad, so you couldn't move and aim at the same time. Like feeding and like low silver on Lucio. Those were the times. And I think my first esports event ever was the first World Cup. It was the first World Cup because I think again one of my friends was like, "Hey, this is the best Genjis in the world playing," meaning Seagull and Shadowburn. Obviously, they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. But that was the first event I watched, and I think I was like, after that, well, that sounds kind of cool. Maybe let's check out this Overwatch League thing. Obviously, watched that as well. Ended up watching basically all of the games as much as I could, get done, considering I had to wake up for school at 6 a.m. and some of the games went to like 2 a.m. But so I watched a bunch of that. But that was kind of all I did. I was just like a casual esports enjoyer until 2019-ish, or at least GOATS, where I played CS for 2 years. I played that quite a lot. And one of my friends is a semi-pro, or was a semi-pro CS player. Would just like try all the time, but not all of his games were streamed. So I'd start like streaming those games to our friends. And occasionally I'd just like start like casting some of the rounds. And that was my first casting ever, just like on a little Discord call to like 3 or 4 people. So I didn't do anything for a while. Overwatch 2 launched. I was like, fuck it, I'll see how it is. Ended up just playing that game all the time. So I dropped CS to play Overwatch again. And started taking it a bit more seriously. I started playing for my uni's Overwatch team. And even though we'll talk about UK Collegiate in the future, I guess. But even though it's pretty small, it's something that I could really start trying to. And then over Christmas, when I leave uni, I leave my PC. So I didn't have my PC. And I was at home. And I was like, fuck. I really want to do something to do with Overwatch, like really badly. And so I went on Broadcast GG and signed up to like a random broadcast. I think it was what was it? It was called like an alternate esports winter tournament. I think it was.
Oh.
No, not alternate. It was I can't remember for the life of me. But it was like a winter tournament. It was, however, I can confirm the 17th of the 12th, 2023. So yeah,
Oh God,
2022. Got there in the end.
You just
I think.
You said
Yeah.
the date. Fucking
Yeah.
God.
So yeah, I did that, and then I was like, wait, this is kind of cool. I've always liked talking, and I like games, and now I can just put them together, and I'm kind of okay at it. So I guess I just kept doing it. Got to do a bunch of cool shit. Timeless broadcast projects, UK LANs like Epic LAN and Insomnia, and here I am, I guess.
Yeah, like weirdly enough, me and you almost have kind of the same sort of path when it comes to at least outside of my school. Just join the Broadcast GG Discord, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna join the first one that pops up with Overwatch, and it was an old league called the Peachies where Hippie ran it. and Hunter, do you remember the Peachies?
No, I just heard the phrase "hippie ran it," so I mean maybe giggle a little bit.
I don't know if Hippie ran it, but he did a lot of the production stuff.
He was there.
I always assume he ran it, but yeah, like we're gonna get into we're going to talk about UK Esports, Collegiate UK Esports here in a moment. But, I mean, what kind of keeps you around? Because like you said, you, out of everyone here, has the most experience actually at LANs. You've done multiple Epics. You've done multiple Insomnias. Hell,
I wish I did multiple Insomnias.
Oh, fuck, my bad.
Like, no, it's not at all. You got shut down.
You've done it now for 2 games, which is... I feel like something that not a lot of people in the world can say that they went to a LAN or multiple LANs to cover 2 different games.
I guess that's 2 questions, so I'll speak about the LANs first. So, being in the UK is like being in the EU, but especially the UK, is a weird, like, mixed bag for especially Overwatch esports, which are really NA-based. So, obviously, as we were kind of saying earlier, we have a really big community because it's kind of small. Everybody knows each other. But the flip side of that is that the time zones are fucking terrible. You know, right now it's midnight for me. So I just got used to being on the late time zones. But what that does mean it also is that the UK has a culture, caused by the CS culture we had before of having like LAN culture. Everyone goes and fucks around together. And even though these LANs they don't matter, right? Winning an Epic LAN doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, especially in Counter-Strike. Winning in Insomnia doesn't really matter. It's for your kind of tier 3s, your tier 4s, people who just play for the love of the game. But we have that, and you need people to cast those LANs. And so, because, again, my friend who got me into Counter-Strike, even, Kika, he attends Epic LAN. I was like, oh, I know it's around. And when I saw they announced an Overwatch tournament, the fact that Lottie as well had worked there before meant that I could just sign up really easily and get onto that. And then once I decided that I was farming the Overwatch LANs too hard and I should give somebody else a chance, I swapped to CS. And because I'm already in the system, it's really easy just to be like, yo, I know you need CS casters. I do a little bit of that. And it's just a quick hop, skip, and a jump over to the other video game.
Yeah. I mean, again, even though, like you said, it's not a big thing, it's still a big thing to be at a LAN. I mean, I've only done one. I know Hunter is. I think Hunter will actually get one this year. Mega, I assume you want to cast at LAN. I know the VTuber thing is a little bit difficult to do that, but I'm assuming you would love to do that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not opposed to like stepping out behind the VTuber thing, but at this point, for me, it would have to kind of be for a LAN. That's the only thing I would see is worthwhile enough. Which might sound like a crazy ego thing. It truly is just like
it's like a brand. It's fair.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a brand, but also like there's such a level of comfort. Like there are older casts. If you wanted to scroll through archives, you could find casts of me before I started doing VTuber casts. And I just was so unbelievably uncomfortable. Anytime that we were like in between maps or stuff like that, like instead of being able to focus on the game, give the analysis like I'm supposed to, I'm just looking at the camera the whole time, like, oh god, this is wrong. I have to fake da. Which that's can of worms I'm not going to try to open. But I mean, ultimately, it's one of those things where, yeah, I mean, a LAN would be sick to do, but just being able to have those connections and stuff is super, super important.
Yeah, but Spec, now to the second part of it all. I mean, you've done these LANs, but what kind of keeps you coming back? You talked about the fact that, at least in UK with Overwatch, is a tight-knit community, but what keeps you coming back, especially to doing a lot of the stuff over in NA? Because like you said, it's after midnight for you right now. Again,
yeah.
Thank you for doing this. With how
I mean, like I said, I wasn't sleeping anyway.
Yeah,
it was this or ranked, so
I know. Let's not talk about your ranked. I know that this is a normal kind of time for you to be up, and I know I've definitely seen you up like 5 a.m. your time before actually you go to bed, or at least stop talking on Discord. But what kind of keeps you coming back to casting?
I think with the amount I do it, then it's got to be a lot of things, realistically. Like I said, firstly, I love Overwatch, obviously. I love talking about Overwatch. I love, realistically, talking in general. Even when I was like a kid, all I would do was I'd read books and I wouldn't care about the story. I'd just be picking up like the words and shit. So having a chance to put all that into like a thing is brilliant, and I really, really enjoy that. Getting to write down like set phrases, like canticles to make a moment a little bit better. Obviously, there's the community. The UK, the European community is something that I'm pretty passionate about. It's, especially whilst Overwatch League was a thing, we were kind of the region who's kind of left in the dust. And that still kind of continues. For example, the Overdrive Cup that was like a month or two back, that had a $1,500 prize pool for NA and a $500 prize pool for EU. What the fuck? We just won the previous tournament. But, shit like that. So there's a lot of, there's a bit of a chip on my shoulder about, I want to do it for EU. I want to be the person who knows about all the players, who just be the EU guy, basically. I want to do it because I really like being the best at something. I really love being competitive. If it's like a game, or even if I'm playing like Smash with my family, I want to kick their asses. So someone says we should take it easy on the newbies. Absolutely not. I'm here to 300 to 0 you.
Who's your
just
main? Who's your main?
I played Smash Ultimate and I would play Shulk and Link.
I mean, fair.
Listen, I'm not like a fighting game player. I would just, when we're there.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I only play the character games I've played whenever I do this.
Fair.
I mean, the occasional tournaments in fighting games is a lot of fun. Like when I ever go to like anime conventions, typically I'll sign up for like a Smash Bros or like a Tekken tournament, literally just for the fun of it. I never get far, but
Yeah,
it's just fun to see so
just
many
fun
players
playing, yeah.
that are just. I mean, yeah, and seeing that there are a lot of people that are passionate about fighting games. Like I don't know a lot of people that just like are in love with fighting games. So being like in a room filled with people that get hyped when you get to like final 8, and it's like, oh shit, I guess I have to stick around
Yeah.
now and see what happens, you know?
My biggest fear is if I ever did something like that, I would sign up and immediately be put up against the number 4 player in the world.
That'd be so funny.
I've been there. I went to one tournament. I'm like, all right. I usually play Samus Pikachu, and they're not super strong characters by any means. But like, all right, I feel like I can get past at least the first couple of rounds. Cool. The guy talks to me. He's like, he's super nice. He's super chill and everything. I go and pick my character. Motherfucker hit the random button. Brother hit the random and beat me 2-0. I'm like, wait a minute.
I mean, it's the only honorable thing you can do.
It was, and I'm like, oh shit. Okay, well, all
Yeah.
right. Well, that was a fun tournament. One of the few times I just walked out and went about the rest of my convention. I did not go back into the room that day.
Fighting games have so much aura. Like just being real in terms of like esports, spectator sport, whatever you want to like try to call and compare. There is never a moment that will happen in any esport that will have as much aura as like the Daigo parry from back in the day.
I don't know, simple jumping no scope.
Nah, nope,
Yeah,
absolutely not.
yeah,
Absolutely not. The aura, the sound in that room, the crescendo of noise of everybody realizing that history was happening right before their eyes, and like. Again, you know, you can get close, you can get hype crowds at esports events, but fighting games, like, they are truly a different breed of, like, people. Like, in terms of being able to study their craft, play those games. Like, I can't play a fighting game normally. The fact that somebody can do it while there's, like, 1,000 people behind them screaming at LAN events and, like, still be focused, because those motherfuckers raw dog it half the time. There's no headphones or nothing. They're just up there on stage just playing for love of the game and nothing else.
I mean, there might be a little bit of an asterisk with that. I've definitely seen some fighting players wear headphones, and then I mean, if Sonic Fox actually does decide to wear the full fursuit, he's technically wearing a mascot.
True.
True.
But no, I kind of have to agree a little bit with Spectrion. There is definitely a lot of aura in just other stuff, but fighting games is. Yeah, I have to agree with
pretty cool.
Megalas, where it's like, yeah, no, fighting games is the most aura because, like she was saying, it's just so much pressure, and especially if you know the games and know basically the frame data of everything, like you're the good players are able to say, yeah, I missed it by 2 frames. Like, what the fuck? How do you know that?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Fighting games are something I just enjoy casually. I see people have really a lot of fun with them, but I've never really like properly tried engaging with it. You know, it's just something that's outside of my little FPS bubble, I call home.
Yeah, but I mean, you've done Overwatch stuff, and you've done CS stuff as well, as we mentioned numerous times now, and you kind of mentioned a little bit that the EU region, especially for CS, is like its hotbed. That's its number 1 place to go. Yeah. It's here in NA. It's
guys are like 2 good players.
We like to pretend, okay? Let us have.
You got like Elise, you got Twists. Who else you got?
Hey, let us sit in the corner and play with our blocks, man. Okay. But like, you talk about having this love for Overwatch. You've done CS stuff as well. Is there anywhere that you could kind of compare that love for Overwatch when it comes to that, or with CS?
It's like CS is the game I love in my head, and Overwatch is the game I love in my heart. Right, that's how it is. I like the esport and the narratives around CS are brilliant. The way the scene is constructed, I think, is much more healthy and sustainable. And the game itself too is so good for creating these really entertaining matches, right? For casting as well. There's so much more room for skill expression, in my opinion, with these more like loose throws between play-by-play and color. Overwatch, I almost sometimes I'm annoyed I like it, you know, because it's like my favorite game, but I'm like, wow, this game fucking sucks. You know, like that's how it kind of feels. The game is deeply flawed, and the devs kind of hate the esports scene, and the esports scene itself is kind of weirdly constructed. But I'm gonna keep coming back because it's the only game that does what it does. You know, that's kind of how I feel about the two games. So I'm always like trying to think about maybe if I should expand a bit more into Counter-Strike. And I'm probably never going to end up doing it realistically, but I would very much like to, because also honestly, casting that game is really fun as well. You know, with Overwatch, I'm sure we've all felt you're like, wow, damn, I wish I could have talked more, but we've got like 30 seconds to chat was and then straight back to the other guy. And in CS, you just don't have that. So
Yeah, and I get that. Like CS, I mean, I played a shit ton of that game when I was in high school. But then Overwatch came out, and like you said, that kind of
Yeah.
like it's like that Toy Story meme where the kid drops Woody and just picks up Buzz Lightyear. Like, yeah, like this is my new favorite thing, and it just stuck with me ever since. And I don't know if anything's like that with you guys, Hunter or Mega Last, where you guys had another game that you guys really enjoyed, and then Overwatch kind of came out. Mega, you just kind of explained like you hated Overwatch before, but was there another game before that kind of interested you with esports?
I mean, the only thing was Pokemon, like getting into the early Pokemon scene and stuff like that. And it's interesting because there's literally basically two existing ecosystems for that, even to this day, right? Because you have the officially sanctioned Pokemon format VGC, and then you have Smogon, which is basically running its own underground bootleg thing in the back of the internet since the Heart Gold days. It's like been its own independent ladder that people are just like, yeah, you know, we want to play this instead of whatever the hell they got going on at VGC. Just because, you know, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of all that, but it's just basically a completely different game compared to when you're just playing through Pokemon originally. But I mean, from the esports side, the few events I got to work and stuff, you know, just talking about Pokemon again, like it was fun, but they never had those hype moments, right? You can't like yell and scream about like a Pokemon missing a move or a critical hit coming through at the right time. You know, you can't do it. It just doesn't fit the mood.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost completely agree with that kind of sense right there. For me, the one thing I really hate about myself, which is a really weird way to start out this
okay,
question.
that's crazy.
You're starting to sound like me, man.
I was not competitive growing up specifically. I've only become more like competitive and wanted to do like bigger things being an adult now. So for me, being competitive wasn't really a thing as a kid. I was very much the kid that got home from school and went and played Call of Duty. That was like what I went through. But I would still play in the competitive mode. I would still get online and play things that way. That was only like my really big experience with. Yeah, I don't even think you can even classify that as esports. That's just play. That's just playing, you know, competitive Call of Duty. But for me, it was a lot of fun. And eventually going, you know, out of high school, and it's like, okay, well, shit, I don't know what to play now because I'm still playing Call of Duty, but it's not nearly as fun. And then lo and behold, I go to good old GameStop one day, and there's a nice cover of Overwatch for the PlayStation 4 just sitting there on the shelf. I'm like, the actual response in my head is, I don't know what the hell this is, but hell, let's buy it. Let's buy it. Why not? No one had recommended me Overwatch. Someone said, hey, you should get this game. You should buy this or try it out. I just picked it off a freaking shelf. Ended up playing the game, and now I'm here 7 years later. Like, what the hell have I done with my life? Where has it all gone?
There's a butterfly effect somewhere in another universe where you don't pick up Overwatch, and we don't know what that version of you is.
There's like a me from like 20 years in the future that like snuck in and like placed down that copy of Overwatch on the wall like that. Pick it up, please.
Yeah, but getting back to now, and especially with being in a competitive scene, Spec, you do a lot with the UK collegiate competitive scene for Overwatch. You and a couple of friends that we know, Edgar being one of them, also run your own kind of podcast over there, UnNuelAble, which, based off what I saw or what you showed us from the iceberg about UnNuelAble at Stockholm, it seems insane for what you said is basically kind of just like a community ran thing where it's just like people playing it for the love of the game. But like, talk about what it's like to just be in that scene where it's not very big, but there is a close, tight knit following or community.
So with collegiate in the United Kingdom, we have 2 tournaments, and they're run by different organizers. But both of them, the maximum payout is like £250 for the first place team. for like the whole season of play, so which obviously isn't very much.
Mhm.
So nobody signs as like to a certain uni because they want to play. That nobody gets. Okay, technically there was one player who got an esports scholarship ever, I think, but that he quit because he hated it. But no one really does it. So it's all very casual, and we all basically just play because we are competitive and because we like the scene. So with UnNuelAble, that's our main podcast where we convene every couple months or so just to talk about what's happening, go through recent news, chat shit, all that. But I think the university scene combines two things we love in the UK. Fucking around and finding out. So it's basically an excuse for people to chat as much shit as possible and then actually back it up in your matches or lose and be really embarrassed. So there's a lot of this like kind of faux competitiveness because again, there's very few stakes, so no one really cares if you win. First place is like £250, second place is £50, I think, between your team. So everyone gets like 15 quid, who cares? And then third place is socks. There's 200 or so teams playing. Nobody is getting anything out of this, you know? And what's more, the one team has won every previous tournament the past 10 times or so. So, like, we kind of know who's going to win. So all we're playing for is second place.
Hey,
So
and
because the
socks.
stakes are so low. Yeah, that's true. So because the stakes are so low, it's just, it makes the vibes impeccable. I think the other thing that makes it good is that some people take it really seriously. And that's kind of funny, just to laugh at them, especially if they're maybe even misrepresenting what they're doing. We had a certain player who shall not be named because he threatened to sue last time.
Hey, this is a podcast. They won't find
Yeah,
you.
that's true. That's true. But he was like, oh, we've been scrimming with Ex Oblivione. We got coaching from Infected for our tank. And then Commander X and Christopher 2, they were coaching us. So we messaged those people and they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay. So my team, who are, we alternate between kind of top 6 and top 16. We played them and we dumpstered them, and they were chatting shit the whole time while getting absolutely canyoned by us. And it's just stuff like that that makes it so, it's so peak. And then after that, on our podcast, UnNuelAble, we sat there for half an hour and just chat shit about them. Because, like I said, there's no stakes. Nobody takes it seriously. So it is just, it's all about the community that people have created. We have a bunch of really strange in-jokes. You know, like you mentioned, the socks come up. We've got the iceberg, which has a bunch of inexplicable things on that just say words like Hermione Granger or, you know, I can't even go off all of these off the top of my head. You know, it's just a ridiculous scene where everybody's just there for the vibes.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think the closest thing that we can really say that we have in NA for that is probably some of these grassroots leagues, because it's one thing we touched on in our episode last week, that the NA collegiate scene is its own fucking ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's very weird because you have like 4 different leagues, hell, probably even more that I don't know of, but 4 that are like, hey, yeah, join this one. There's a significant payout for these. It just it's so interesting to see the differences in it. But like you said, with Overwatch, especially in the EU and the UK, it's kind of always been the black sheep. It's never necessarily been a big thing there, but it's always kind of like, yeah, London Spitfire was there, but at the same point, after year 1,
yeah, but not really.
Yeah, after year 1, were they?
They're all Korean, bro. They had Stylosa giving them Marmite. That was about it. You know.
Yeah, but like. The one joke I want to make about UnNuelAble was the one that you kind of made at Stockholm, was that episodes where you're on it do great. Episodes that you're not on it don't. And you're like showing the view counter and it's like, oh yeah, one with Spectrion on it. Here's 50 more views than the one without Spec on it. Like it was really funny, but it's cool that you guys have your own kind of podcast over there to do it. And even though, like you said, it's kind of a thing where you're there to kind of keep those in-jokes going and to talk shit, but everyone kind of goes with it, is really, really fun here.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. We got a draft tournament coming up tomorrow. So me and Egda are just gonna sit there for an hour and just flame every single player who gets drafted. It's gonna be great.
Beautiful.
Let's throw our names in there and see if we get drafted.
Only for active university players, I'm afraid. So unless you want to enroll into the UK, then
I mean,
I can enroll to an online class, right? Y'all, you guys want to enroll in some UK online
Hey, listen,
class?
Yeah.
listen, Spec, say the word. I'll hit an abroad program right now. I'll go talk to him tomorrow. I'm in uni,
okay.
I'll hit it up.
We'll make it happen.
All right.
Oh
but,
my god.
I mean, kind of pivoting away from now everything in the UK and just back to a more general thing of, what we all kind of like here. We touched on this a very little bit last week, especially in that last kind of 30 minutes where we were talking about other people that we would like to have on here. And that kind of got me going with like, we could talk about other people coming on, but I think that's one thing that kind of does keep us all going, at least I'll say it myself a little bit. Like that keeps me coming back a little bit, just the friendships I've been able to make here, because to be honest, I don't have a lot of friends outside of this. So if I leave esports, it's like, well, fuck, I'm back to 2. Fuck, maybe 2. But like the people that we work with are some of the funniest fucking people that I know. Like, and I'm surrounded by 3 of them here, and I'm definitely not one of them.
Listen, I hate that I'm going to say this because this stupid fuck's ego is going to thrive. But easily the funniest person, if you're working an Overwatch broadcast and you want a caster who's going to be funny, Fletch immediately.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, it will be a hoot. Fletch, I pray you never watch this because your ego is going to inflate massively, and you're going to be fucking insufferable. But like, yeah, there's tons of little in jokes. There's tons of little silliness. Like, there's sometimes where like your casters, they sound all professional and stuff on the mic. Chances are 3 seconds before, as the producer was counting down, they were just like screaming or being like pee pee poo poo or some shit like that, where it was just
I'm so
silliness
glad
and
nobody
like,
has ever clipped one of my mold sessions.
oh
To be
my
fair,
god.
That's still yet to be released to the public.
They're too common at this point.
Yeah.
It doesn't catch us off guard anymore.
I see.
We keep it to ourselves at this point. But no, Fletch is a man of pure aura. The first time I casted with this man, bro casted outside of a gas station. Bro was just outside at a gas station, like waiting for his car to be towed or to be picked up or something. And bro casted a whole ass game with me.
That's locked in.
He casted it from his phone too, right? Like
Mhm.
no microphone, just his
did.
phone.
Bro I can't believe that.
Like, yeah, like the couple times Fletch was one of the people. I think he was actually the person I casted with the most last year, and the couple times I've met him now, like you guys said, he a ball of aura. I call him a ball of energy. That man, just like he doesn't need caffeine. He'll just fucking go. Like, and that's. I mean, granted, I'm gonna say that he's a college student. Once he gets to our age, maybe it'll be a little bit different. Not counting you, Spec, but like you get him going, he is out there, and yeah, he is one of the funniest people like to actually work with, because there'll be just some times where he's just screaming, and you don't know what word is coming next.
Okay, don't say it like that. That sounds bad. Don't say it like that. This man is not dropping slurs.
No, he's not dropping slurs.
Crazy.
Why the hell would
That's crazy.
No,
clip.
no.
That clip is gonna start going around all of the NA Overwatch scene. What have you done, Nick?
Yeah, post that.
As you guys
yeah,
probably
no.
don't mind.
Post
No,
that
wait.
to YouTube Shorts because TikTok's going away.
No, what about the one where he was openly sexist to you, Mega?
That's happened several times. You're gonna have to be more specific there, champ.
The one that happened during whatever one he was doing with Rising Cord.
Okay, but here's the thing.
God.
I intentionally cut that clip because I made that clip myself, and I intentionally listened to him, and I was like, I need to find the exact moment I can cut this off to where it sounds bad. Because he definitely fixes it later on, but it is so funny again. Because, like, if you had no context of that, if you did not know that me and Fletch cast together, probably, I'd say, across every single tournament, like, there's a 65% chance it's me and Fletch paired together, then you would just hear that clip out of context and be like, holy shit, this Fletch fucking character hates Mega. What the hell?
I love that like, faux rivalry you guys have with each other. It's such a good fucking dynamic.
It's a good bet.
Yeah,
I'm telling it. We are the
is.
NA Brennan sideshow. Whenever fucking they would hit the ladder together, and Bren would just flame the fuck out of sideshow for trolling for content. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, but like casters are like a lot of the casters are really fun to work with. They're all like very fun personalities, but some of our observers are also just like so.
Oh my god.
So out there, like
No.
the
Those
one that
kids
comes,
are unhinged.
the one that comes to the top of my head is mostly just Orange. Like
Yeah.
yeah, Orange. Okay,
What was
wait,
that
no,
sound?
no,
Hunter?
Hunter, go,
I-
go.
What do you want me to say here?
Just
What
go.
do you exactly go?
Yeah,
Go.
You had like this like
This
oh,
visceral
God.
reaction.
This,
Yeah.
oh shit,
Let's-
we're talking about Orange. Just go with it.
Look, because I thought of Orange, and then my brain my brain immediately went to the chunky milk for some reason. That's where my brain immediately went towards.
Was
For
that
some
Or-
reason
what-
that
wasn't that
it
Reach?
wasn't it wasn't even Orange. That's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, oh, Orange. That's the chunky milk. That's the chunky milk observer.
Dude, all the observers look the same from the casting booth.
Yeah,
True.
so for context, for people who don't know what we're talking about,
Oh my
there's another observer, and I think producers sometimes called Reach that
Yeah.
who not only once but twice has drank chunky milk.
I can't imagine how you can ever be under these circumstances where you don't think milk doesn't have to be refrigerated. I
don't know. Man.
I ponder leaving out your milk overnight, waking up in the morning like, ah, yes, my milk, my nice room temperature milk,
Yeah.
delicioso.
Wait, wasn't Orange the one who also like subtly put Huge Man in a couple of broadcasts where
Yes.
they would just
I
either put
think
the
so.
logo or just
Yes.
turn the opacity down on an image?
Just the huge man in the Nepal pit. Oh my god, that's a classic right there.
Huge Man in the
God.
Paul
Oh.
Pit. I think that same map when the MVP highlight intro came up, it was Huge Man over the entire screen, and I only saw it because it was Malga's fucking back. That was the highlight intro.
That's Aura.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, no. Like the observers absolutely are some fun. Like that's the thing. Everybody behind the scenes, as much as we're all like, oh, putting out this professional quality broadcast, there's just antics going on. I mean, Echo started doing a good job of clipping some of the silly moments as they come up. I love the time for the Awakening.
Wait,
Um,
can I play those sounds here? Fuck no, I have
Oh,
to
yeah.
buy. I have to buy fucking
Who
has
Nitro to
Nitro?
play
Who's
these.
not-
songs.
If anyone has Nitro to play Skibidi Riz all that shit,
I got you, bud. I
No,
got you, bud. Don't
No,
worry.
I'll fucking buy
Nope.
Nitro here. Don't fucking do it. But
okay.
no,
Can I?
we
Can I?
have
Can
this.
I?
We have this Skibidi Riz master right here. Fucking Spectrion can just say it.
Can I hit a different one then?
Yeah,
Go
sure.
for
Go
it.
ahead.
yeah, go
All
for it.
right, cool.
I'm stuck.
You.
Help me, step bro.
Oh, there was also the Echo Good Boy one is always the worst one, like the most out
What?
of pocket one. Well, you
Yeah,
heard that
no.
one.
No,
Have you had
I
that
haven't.
No, like, here's
I-
the funny thing with a lot of this. Like, again, a lot of our observers and most of our producers still fall into this age range where we kind of touched on it. A lot of people are younger than us. Echo is the only other person who I think is around our age and also has a kid.
She's older.
So anything that she. Okay, fucking Spec.
Oh my
No,
God.
the Echo Good Boy is a funny one. The there's so many just
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
context moments that
Let's see.
like again,
What
like
the-
if you think that it like all these little fancy pictures that get put out, the headshots and all that, you think everybody's a professional? Fucking everyone is guilty of it. There's not a single person behind the scenes that is ever fully serious at any one point.
No,
Like it is just silliness.
No, here.
It's
wait.
a man in one shot by that voice, though.
Wait, no, you guys keep on talking about it. I'm gonna show you the most
Oh,
fucking aura that we can
I
get
will
out
say-
of anyone.
listen. I like to call this kind of thing broadcast terrorism, and the person who always does it the most, fucking Edgar the Ruiner. The man does
Oh,
not stop
absolutely.
talking under any circumstance, and he says the most out of pocket shit. He says it all live as well.
Wait.
During Goats, he was constantly like, "This is good old fashioned Brexit Overwatch." Bro!
No,
Dude.
no, like here's the thing. We talked about aura a little bit earlier, and I'm just
Yeah.
doing this so I can fucking show off this screen and hope
Oh.
to
Mhm.
God that this works. Have you guys ever fucking seen the photo that Hippie has for his Liquipedia page?
No.
Not the top of my head, I don't remember it, honestly.
Oh
What is
fuck! Of
what?
course, it's fucking huge. God damn it!
You got this. You got this.
I'll fucking
You
figure
got
it
I
out.
this.
believe in
Figure it
you.
out.
God,
You have
motherfucking damn it here. If I click it, does it fucking...
Oh, that's pretty.
It's the
There he
fucking
is.
tuba photo. It is my favorite fucking photo of him. It has the most fucking aura in the goddamn...
Wait, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, like every time, every year he talks about getting a photo at a fucking event he works. I'm like, dude, just recreate the tuba photo, please. That is the one that goes the hardest. It is just incredible.
Yeah, there's no reason to change that. I feel like you can stick with that forever.
It is just great. But okay, so that was a test run of that scene. But, like no, like a lot of the people, like I don't think I've ever gone into a production where outside of maybe like a couple where it's like, yeah, this is a one-off thing where you can't joke with the people who are working there. Like there will always be inside jokes, but and there'll always be kind of like fun things to kind of poke and prod at. But especially with it being esports, like I said, there's going to be inside jokes you can just make about the game. But especially with all the people that we work with, it is such a fun like kind of cast of people of just what wild shit can we see tonight when we're hopping into this broadcast.
I swear, people actually are just Family Guy characters behind the scene. They're just actually poised with some sort of gimmick ready or whatever. And even if it's like, again, something where people have to be focused in the moment, like they still find their little times to be silly and things like that. And overall, it just makes every production so much better. Instead of having to come in and be like, oh boy, clocking into my 9 to 5, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go bullshit with the homies in Discord and just so happen to be talking about Overwatch while it's happening.
I feel like the best representation of the behind the scenes vibe is just every screenshot Dex posts of them. And firstly, half it's just like Dex being told to like kill himself or something by me. I promise I like him. I promise I actually like him. He just takes it out of context.
No,
that's about what it's like.
I don't think I do. I don't think so. I looked in the cast chat, and I remember like I gotta remember because I looked in it and like it was like you and Edgar like typing each other, and
that's different. That's Edgar.
I listen. I'm just saying. I saw something immediately, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stop reading. Right.
Yeah, we cast too many lands together, so at this point, every time we talk, it's just like, hey, I think last time he was in Twitch chat typing out how he's gonna steal my credit card details. It's just what happened. I think like, as you mentioned, like we get to hang out with these people so often, like over the internet. But when you like meet someone like in person, and you also work that event in person, it just lends up being like that kind of dialed up to 11. Like my experience with the people who worked at all those like UK lands and shit, like Lottie and Westy, who's a UK producer as well. It just ends up being like you're instantly just like best buds. It's great.
Yeah. There are so many fucking times. I think it's happened in CGL, it's happened in BPL, it's happened in every fucking league I've cast in, where if you get the certain group of like producers and observers, it's like some wild shit's gonna go on during cast. I love it, but sometimes it's just like, I like if there's something where the producer's trying to tell the cast or something, but it's like, oh yeah, here's our 2 observers just posting cat pictures. Or when web fishing came out, that was like everyone just posting shit about web fishing. I'm like, okay guys, I love this, but please,
we're gonna read things in live one.
Yeah.
I still love the BPL days where it'd be like me unfeatured, like Orange and like a few other people who would just constantly, we would get in and get ready to like set up for it, and instead we would just play like Crunker Watch on Discord for like 40 minutes, like up until the start time. It's like, guys, maybe we should swap around, but we're just like facing each other, and it's like, this is great, this is lovely. Get to the point where like unfeatured starts tryharding a little bit. I'm like, oh shit.
I always find it so funny how some of our producers and observers are by far the best, are some of the better players of anyone.
The casters aren't the better players. I'll tell you that for free.
No,
why do you think make sure you go back and watch. Make sure you go back and watch the CGL staff pugs for an idea of just how bad we are. Make sure you also watch map number 2. That's Lijiang Tower. Make sure you do not ever watch the Soab Danon perspective.
Hey,
okay.
How about the time you guys fucking roasted me for my dead eye on Surabasa?
Listen. I don't know what these kids are talking about. Speak for yourselves. I'm the best player to touch the server. I don't know what-
Watch map number 1 where you use 3 death buttons to get 0 kills.
But the aura on each of those blossoms was incredibly powerful, and we won the map.
That is true. That is
I-
true.
So like, I won. You know, that's all that matters there.
In the end, Mega will always come out on top.
Uh-huh.
Ugh.
Listen, I'm just dragged bound by Joker every single time. I'm gonna say it. Joker ends up losing me my games. I'm gonna say it.
True.
I'm gonna say it.
Joker,
Bro has the aura. Like
Joker is
let's be
also
real.
one of the characters, I feel like.
Oh,
he is-
absolutely one of the characters.
Joker
Like,
is by far like Fletch. You don't know what's gonna happen. Joker, you kind of know what's gonna happen, but at the same time, it's like, oh yeah, he might be talking about this. It's like, oh yeah, he's gonna compare it to a Yankees baseball player at the moment, like saying how good they're doing. I'm like, okay, man, you just fucking lost 75% of the people watching, but go ahead and you're talking to you're casting with the one person who gets this reference.
I'm still never gonna forgive the man for taking my 6K for doing goats. Bro, I get the 5K with the bomb. Diva gets demacked, and like, where's the diva? Joker then kills them and just starts laughing maniacally afterwards.
Joker was fucking plastered when that
A
happened,
rap
man.
move, man.
He was fucking
It got worse.
plastered.
It got worse.
Yeah, no
for the
shit, it got
Mega
worse. Yeah, no, but a fun thing. Speaking of what happens when you throw us into a fucking competition, we're about to figure that out here pretty fucking
Oh, we
soon.
are. My God.
Hunter, we lose so many brain cells.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be
Oh, it's
fine.
It's
No.
gonna be
Maybe.
fine. It's gonna be
Listen,
fine. We
let-
have
let-
5, so we now are
listen.
officially a team. But
Let's set the bar right here. All right,
Whoa.
just so we can look. No, well, yes,
okay,
but
see this
just
floor?
the thing. What is our what do you guys think our ceiling and our roof are? Or that's the same thing. What
That's
do you
the
think
same
our
thing.
That's our floor.
You
See,
dark
yeah,
cunts.
the roof.
what do you think our floor is and our ceiling is in terms of wins?
Our
What-
floor is 0 points, and our ceiling's probably like, I don't know, one
math.
game. If we play against like, I don't know, their routers rather than the actual
One?
teams.
You can't say one, really?
No,
Listen.
I'd be lying.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm a lot of things, but Spectrion Cast is not a liar.
All right. Yeah, you are not. But guys, one of the things I said coming into this one here, I wanted to keep this one around an hour. We are at that point now.
Are we?
Yeah, I mean, time flies. This one was really, really fun. Again, thank all you guys again. Spec, thank you for being our first official guest on the podcast to be named. I swear we will have a name that will not be the official name. But
It goes kind of crazy, man. I'm telling you.
it does go kind of crazy, but like I want to have something to do with what we do. Yeah, but guys, any final words here before we all sign off?
I've rejoined just to say if you ever call me Meg again, I'm slapping the
I'm
shit out of you.
Megalast. I'm gonna be I'm sorry.
There's an A.
I know,
Use the
I know,
A.
Mega,
There's so many
Mega,
people
Mega,
who are
Mega,
incapable.
no, Mega. I'm gonna be honest with you. I missed the A, hit the caps lock, typed the next word, noticed it was caps lock, deleted it, and just wasn't fucking looking. I'm so sorry.
I'm beating you with a stick.
Fucking deserved at this point.
She's gone.
All right.
Oh,
Again,
God.
thank you, Hunter. Thank you, Megalast. Thank you,
oh.
Spec, for being our first guest. We'll be back next week, and either it's going to be the last test run, or we're actually going to have everything ready to go and have it be our first official episode. So, guys, thank you all so much for your time, and I will let y'all go. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Until next week, have a good week, I guess. Bye. What an ending, y'all.